Hello everyone, welcome back to the show. Like last time we have seen how to retrieve the data. So here you can see in this method the implementation process in such a way that this optional is a container which gives you the data, and at the same time if the data is not retrieved, the optional contains null value. So to overcome the null pointer exception, we are checking with the help of isPresent method, which returns true if the data is present inside database. So then we will get the data whatever we require. If the data is not present, it returns null, in the sense it returns null. Okay, it shows only blank data. Okay, it doesn't throw any no such element exception, those kind of things. If we are writing directly optional dot get method now, so we will get no such element exception. Okay, returning null value just gives a blank value. So let us check what happens, like if the given data is not present. We'll see now. So I'm running the application. First we'll check how many number of IDs are present inside the database. Okay, let's go to the Postman application, and here you can see like we use get mapping in order to retrieve the data. So I want to retrieve all the data inside the database, so I will click on the send option. Now you can see the with ID number 1 there is a data, and with ID number 2 also there is a data. Okay, the so now so let us check while retrieving the data what is happening. So I'll be clicking on send. Okay, I am getting the details with ID number 2. Okay, I don't know, like by mistake you clients will check the data. Okay, they don't know about the IDs, so at that time they will click on the ID number 4. In that case, see here we are getting the blank data, means we did not get any any intimation, but at the same time the HTTP status code is 200. Okay, 200 means it is success. Okay, so in that case what we have to do, just we'll raise an exception. How to raise an exception, let us see now. Okay, so what to do if if the given ID is not present inside the database. What is our first step? Our first step is to create exception class. Okay, our first step is to create exception class. So we'll name the exception class name as ID not found exception. Okay, let's move to the Eclipse. So create an exception. ID not found exception. Okay, ID not found exception. Say like while I'm typing something is running. Okay, this is automatic reloading process. Means okay, we at first while creating SpringBoot application we we added one dependency. What is that dependency? Added one dependency. What is that dependency? If you remember, we added SpringBoot developer tools. Okay, this is the dependency where we added inside the pom.xml. Because of that there is a fast reload, means fast reloading process, in the sense like whenever we update anything in our application, immediately it will load all the data immediately. We don't need to check each and every time, save, refresh, those all things we are not required to do. So our exception class is created. Now we have to make it as exception by making relationship with runtime exception. So done. Let's save the class. Then after saving the class, what is our next step? Okay, so after adding we have to raise the exception. Okay, we have to raise the exception. So where we have to raise this exception? Inside the service layer, inside get student method, inside get student method. Okay, you have to raise the exception inside the service layer, inside get student method. This is the get student method. Okay, so here where we have to raise the exception. Okay, so we have to change the code here. Okay, because like everything is very well, we don't get any problem if we are using optional as a container, but at the same time it is not reflecting any data if the data is not present. So in that case we have to raise an exception. So what I will do, I will make some changes here. Okay, so we have to think how to raise the exception. Okay, with okay, like so in that case my first step before raising the exception, okay, before raising the exception, my first step, first we have to check the ID, right? We have to check the ID, if the ID is present or not. ID is present or not. Already we have one method inside the repository layer which tells us whether the given ID is present or not. On the before, like we have done this already, like while doing SpringBoot part 3. In the part 3 video we have learned about this. Okay, so this method helps us whether the given ID is present inside database or not. Okay, first step inside the service layer to check whether the ID is present or not. First we have to check the ID is present or not. So here in the service layer, first what we will do, we'll write boolean condition equals, okay, student repository dot exists by ID. So I will be passing the ID. So if ID is present, the condition returns true value. Okay, if ID is returns, condition returns true value. Okay, so how to do this? Let us check the overview of this. I will show you. Look at here. So here what I am doing in this method, carefully observe everyone. So here you can see I am using this method exists by ID method. Okay, if ID is present, it is returning true value. Then what we have to do, using if else block, okay, here we have to write the boolean value. So I will be placing this condition else at this place, then only we will retrieve the data. If the ID exists, then only we will be retrieving the data. Okay, then after what we will do, like if ID exists, we will be retrieving and will be returning the data, else we have to raise the exception. Very clear, right? Very simple only. So here nothing else we are doing. Before retrieving the data, we are just checking inside the database the given ID is present or not. It returns true value. If it is true, then only we will retrieve the data. If it is false, we will raise an exception. Okay, let us write like this, the code neat and clean. So what I am doing, I am just replacing this, Control X and paste here. So instead of optional, I will not use it, not required at all. So I will place the condition, right. Now else what we have to do, we don't need to write this if we have else block. Okay, here we have to raise the exception. Throw is the keyword which is used to raise the exception. New of ID not found exception. Okay, ID not found exception. Let us save the class. After saving the class, so we are done with the work. Let us check first whether it will be showing exception or else something else. So I am retrieving the data with ID number 4. Right, we got the output as 500 internal server error as a HTTP status. and you can see here our created exception, id not found exception. So we are successful in the stopping the application. Okay, we got the id not found exception. Right, id not found exception. So now we have to handle this exception. How to deal with this? Now, okay, what is our next step? We have to handle the exception. So how to handle this exception? So all the custom exceptions will be handled by advice layer. It will be handled in advice layer. Okay, with the help of annotations. We will handle the exception, handle the custom exception. So where we have to move global exception, right? And global exception handler class we have to move. Let us move to global exception handler. So already we have one advice layer. Previously I told you in part 3, SpringBoot part 3 only. So what we have to do here? Okay, to represent this as a global exception handler, Spring framework is providing controller advice annotation. Now very simple, just copy this and paste below that and make some changes. So while making changes you have to be very careful, everyone. Okay, so we have to handle which exception? id not found exception. Okay, id not found exception. id not found exception. Okay, done. The given id is not found. Please check the data. The data with given id is not found. It's better, much better, I think. So we'll be displaying some other code using HTTP status. So this time we'll use dot, no, not found. Okay, for not found. Okay, so very simple only, and you have to make sure you are providing id not found exception everywhere. Okay, by mistake you are doing something wrong, it will be stopping the application. So be careful. Done. We have successfully written the code to handle the exception. Now let us check. So now I am trying to get the data with id number 4. So you can see we have successfully got the output as the data with given id is not found. So let us check with one more 3. Right, we are getting the same output. Now we'll check with id number 2. Yes, we are getting the details. So we are done with this, and next let us move to the next one. Now we'll be dealing with how to delete the data right now. Okay, to delete the data, from where we have to start, let us check first. Okay, so our first step, Spring Boot part 5 is, okay, how to delete the data. Our first step, write the method inside the service class. Okay, what to write? Our first step is to write the method in service class. So we have to start the work from the service layer. Okay, so what I need to do, just one sec, just I want to be very clear, like, so that you can understand in more better manner. What this? Okay, mistake I got. Okay, very simple. So what we need to write inside the service class? So inside the service class, first we need to write this method, delete student method. Okay, inside the service class. Okay, inside the service class, we have to write this method. So just look at here. Okay, so before that, uh, not delete. Okay, this is wrong. Actually, it requires object, student object. Small mistake. So let us move to Eclipse. So inside the service class, we have to write the method for delete operation. Public string delete student. So user will be passing the ID. So here first we have to retrieve the data, okay, before deleting. Why? Because a student repository is providing delete method which requires a student object. It requires enter student object. With the help of ID we cannot delete. So first we have to retrieve the student object. Student equals student repository dot, sorry, already we have one method now. Instead of this, already we have one method called getStudent in this class. So we'll use that method here. See here, like you can see here only, getStudent method. I will use this method. Okay, I'll use that method and I'll use it here. Okay, so what we have to do? And at the same time here also some problem occurs. I'll tell you what is the problem. If student not equals to null, okay, null, so then we have to delete student repository dot delete. So I am passing the student object. Then I will return a message. Return data is deleted. Okay, data is deleted. Return. Okay, what we have to do, like have to write data not found. Done. So let us save the data. So Successfully we have completed delete method inside the service class. What is our next step? Okay, so our next step is to write the method inside the controller class. Okay, write the method inside the controller class and call the method which is present in service class. Call this method which is present in service class inside the controller here. Okay, so let's do it. So I'll be writing this method inside the controller layer. So just I've pasted this. Okay, just it is a service AMPL, I think. Right. Okay, it is asking me to change the type as string. Okay, done. My next step is also done. So we have written inside the controller layer also. So what we did, I will show you. Wait. So here you can see like I have created a method inside the service class first, that is delete student, and at the same time inside the controller class also I have created delete student method. So I am calling this delete student method which is present in service class. Okay, I am calling within the controller class. That's it. That is the execution flow. Hope you got the point. And next, what is our next step? So we have to invoke this method which is present inside the controller layer. As we know, right, controller will handle all the user requests. Now it will handle the user request for deleting the data using one annotation. What is that annotation? Let us look at here. Okay, that annotation is delete mapping. That annotation is delete mapping. Okay, right, that is delete mapping. So we use annotation that is delete mapping. We use which annotation? Delete mapping. So our next step is to write that delete mapping annotation on the top of the method which is present inside controller. So delete mapping is the annotation. Okay, so we have to write the URL in such a way that where it accesses the ID number from the given URL. So we have to write in this format. Let us move to the controller layer. So inside the controller layer we are using annotation. What is that annotation? Delete mapping for deleting the data. Delete mapping. And the common URL is student, and we have to acquire the data which is passed by the user using this. And here you have to retrieve the data which is present in at this place after the forward slash. Okay, after the forward slash, whatever the data is there, it will be retrieved with the help of the path variable annotation. The help of @ path variable annotation, we can retrieve the small values from the URL. Okay, at the rate path variable is used to retrieve the data from the URL, like small values, we can say that minimum less amount of data we can retrieve. Okay, then so we'll be passing here annotation at the rate path variable. Okay, done. Now save the class. So we successfully saved all the things. Now I want to delete the data. Now I will try to delete the data. Okay, let us move to the postman, and here which kind of method it is, delete mapping. So I want to delete with ID number 2. Okay, with ID number 2. So I'll click on yes, data is deleted. Data is deleted successfully. Okay, done. Fine. Now what if I am trying to send the same ID number 2? Already it is deleted. Now let us check. So here you can see the data with given ID is not found. It is showing with ID number 2 when we are trying to delete. Now what is happening, like here inside the delete student method we are calling which method? We are calling get student method. We are calling which method? Get student method. So whenever we are passing ID which is not present, okay, immediately it is raising ID not found exception. That ID not found exception is carried to this delete student method also. This is just a sample thing which is not required at all. Okay, you can give null value also, nothing to worry. Okay, very simple, and it's very crazy, right? One shot, two birds. Like we have raised the exception only for get student method, and it is working for delete student method also. So one shot, two birds, right? So successfully you are done with this, and next, right, we'll see in the next video how to update the data. Run. Hope you enjoyed the session, and we'll complete this.